along with the Wayne Borje Band as he makes any kind from Hawaii. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Junior Kikuwala Jr.
I'm Junior Kikuwala Jr. Welcome to the podcast that asks the question, if it was up to you and you could do anything you like, would you? Right? Could you? Okay, the answer on both counts is yes, you would. Okay, and you could. Okay, so no, what I'm talking about is manifestation. Today on the podcast, more manifestation tips and techniques for you. Okay, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. All right, so Turkey and Guam are two countries. Sorry, I don't know what's going on. I came down with something last week, and so Jay says, no podcast. We need to let the numbers up. And I got to tell you, like, this guy is so right on. Like my numbers just skyrocketed from, like, before, like, per episode. Like, it's huge. So Turkey and Guam, we'd like to say mahalo and thank you to you guys. And also, I mean, being that this is happy Chinese New Year, by the way, you guys, because we missed out on that one. I was like, Chinese New Year's. I was like, but it was really good. It was really good. Welcome to the year of the rabbit. Oh man, it's going to be a good year. The thing that has really grown, and this is all Jay, man. This is all him. So Apple Podcasts used to be 85%, right? All right, fast kind stats, because I don't want to bore you. Apple Podcast is now 49%. Spotify went up from 14 to 16%. Web browsers are now 11%, okay? That means more people are listening to us on their computers at work. That's what that means, okay? iHeartRadio has gone through the roof remember it was like 1%, 2%? It's 8% now, okay? So Jay is doing his marketing work, his marketing magic, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's working. So I do not doubt this guy at all. No. Anchor, 3%, and other. Now the other, remember, it was 0. Now the other is 13%, and that makes up our stats. Our audience is basically 28 to dead. Okay. And the females, girls. Thank you very much, girls. We love you. You know that. You know that. Okay. Females used to be 20%. Females, 38% right now. The females are growing. Okay, so we gotta watch what we say about the ladies, because and when we tell them stories, I mean, no, they're true stories. I'm not gonna lie just because they're listening. But anyway, and then males, 62%. Non-binary and non-specified is still at 0. So okay, just for your information, okay? So anyway, what we're going to talk about on the podcast is manifestation. Now, I've been working at manifestation since 2006, and that's when I made the decision to go into that car lot. And I told you guys on the other podcast about my first car. Well, it didn't stop there, because I was like, well, if I can do it. So that's how human nature is, right? If you get something, you want to get something else. If you do something, you want to accomplish something else. Anybody who tells you that, oh, no, I'm not like that, or no, it doesn't work that way for me, okay? If they tell you that, they're lying to you, okay? Those are the guys, those are the pretenders who either are too lazy, okay? They're lazy. They don't want to do anything with their life, okay? Or they're just broke. They can't do anything. Some guys are lazy and broke, and some guys are just broke. Some guys are just lazy. Normally, the lazy guys end up broke. So, and it's not like you have to labor really hard, okay? It's not like you have to work hard. You may have to work long. I don't work hard at all. Really, I do not work hard. A lot of people look at, the work I've done and the volume of work that I've done, and they go, wow, you work so hard. No, I never work hard. Never, ever, ever, okay? But I work long. I put in long hours, okay? So I do a lot of brain work with my brain, And that's why, I got to make up on the gym side, right? But, yeah, and I still got to make up on that side. But yeah, I just, I'm working in my laptop. Been there since, since laptops came out, I think. I don't know, something like that. But anyway, manifestation, okay? So I started with the first one, right? And then I go, wow, if I could do this, maybe I could do that, right? And, maybe I could do the next one. Maybe I can get bigger, maybe, and that's the way it works. So first, let's go over some basics. The first thing, somebody called me the king of manifestation the other day. That was a big compliment. The other big compliment I want to get out of the way, because it's a personal thing. It's a family thing. But I picked my mom up at the airport. I don't know when she came in. I don't know, a few months ago. And I picked her up at the airport. And my mom is old school. Old school. And when I say old school, I mean like she does not throw compliments around like to anybody. I mean, she compliments people and whatever. But when she says something, like, she means it, right? She's not just going to say something to make somebody feel good. Okay, that happens in the entertainment business. That happens a lot. That happens in the entertainment world. Like, oh, wow, hey, wow, you're fantastic, you're genius. They use those terms, genius or, whatever. But I picked my mom up from the airport, and I was driving away from the terminal with her in the car. And she said something that I'll never forget. And she goes, I remember when you didn't have a car and we had to meet you because you caught the bus to Ala Moana Center. And now you're picking me up in a Mercedes. Oh, yeah, and that was my old car, Hawaiians. That was the one I had before this lease. They're all leased, I'm not foolish enough to buy a Mercedes. Nobody buys a Mercedes. I mean, the guys you see with Ferraris and stuff, like all those guys, they're leasing everything, okay? And they lease according to what they need to write off. And, I'm not at that stage where I need a Ferrari or, that kind of thing. No, not yet. I'm working my way up the ladder, Hawaiians, just like everybody else. So my mom says that to me, right? And this was about my old Mercedes. She didn't even see this one yet, right? She has not seen this car yet. This is the surprise for when I pick her up, whenever she comes next time. But that was really heartwarming. And I was like, whoa, Mom. And you know what happens when you have a parent, and this is just a side note, okay? When you have a parent and you live with your parents and then you know your parents, right? And they're very strict. And, my mom is very strict with me, and always has been, because she wants me to be, top performance, all the stuff I'm not, right? She wants me to be that. And she's very strict. She's always been strict. And now, like, she's getting soft. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, hey, mom's getting soft. What's up with that? I mean, that kind of stuff, right? Anyway, so, but that was a very high compliment, and one of the nicest things that I remember my mom saying to me. I mean, she said a lot of nice stuff. The other thing that caught me off guard was when I did my Waikiki show, right? Opening night, right? We packed the place more than any other entertainer ever in the history of the hotel, the Princess Kaiulani Hotel in Waikiki. So the majority of our audience is outside Hawaii. So when you guys come to Hawaii, there's it's a little hole-in-the-wall hotel, really. It's not an extravagant thing. It's just, one of the old hotels. And they have a showroom, and they're one of the few hotels left that have a showroom. I think there's only 2 now in Waikiki. But if you ever go there, Princess Kaiulani Hotel, go up to the 2nd floor and check out the showroom if they let you in. Or the doors are huge. Like, they go all the way up to the ceiling kind of thing. It's amazing. And so anyway, but we had our show in there, and my mom, of course, was right up front with my auntie, right? My mom and my auntie right in the front, the 2 most important females in my life, they're right there. And I'm like, oh boy, I better make this good, right? Pressure, right? Pressure. And so, but anyway, what happened was, like, after the show, I thought that I had become a better singer, right? And in my head, that's what I wanted to accomplish. But here's what happened, right? I did my show. It was a variety show. I did a variety of things. And when we finished the show, and I went down, and, I wasn't seeking approval, but I just said, yeah, well, how do you like the show, Mom? And she said, you are, and I thought she was going to say, better at singing. Yeah, that's what I thought. But she said, you are, and then I just thought, like, I was hoping, like, wasn't like, you are a jackass. Oh, I was hoping it wasn't that, right? But she goes, no. She goes, you are a very good. And I'm like, whoa, here it comes, payday, right? Wrong. Okay, she said, you are a really good ventriloquist, right? And I was like, whoa. I was let down, tell you the truth. I was let down with that one. I was kind of let down because I was working so hard on becoming a better singer. I really was, because that was my dream. My dream, just to make it clear, because I know a lot of people, we have we're building our Hawaii audience, like, slowly on LinkedIn and Facebook people. So if you're from there, thank you very much for joining. If you're from Hawaii, the first people from Hawaii to listen to my podcast was in Wailuku. So, hey, Wailuku, mahalo to you guys. The people that used to listen to me on the radio, like, hardly any of them, just a small handful out of the, sum total, listen to us on the podcast. But thank you very much for being here, first of all. The second thing is that, I was working so hard at being a singer. So let's get this straight. My dream was not radio or television or, any of that. My dream was to be a singer, right? Like Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Don Ho. Don Ho's a local reference, you guys. You guys are going to have to Google that. But that was my goal. I just wanted to stand on a stage with an orchestra in the back, right? And just sing. And then do jokes, crack jokes, and sing songs and whatever. Play with the women in the audience. Play with the Wainis in general. Waini. Oh, if you're sorry, you guys from out of state, out of my state, anyway, out of the country as well. So Wahine is female in Hawaiian, woman. Okay, Wahine, woman, synonym. There you go. Boom, knowledge. Okay, so but yeah. So that was my goal. And my mom said I was a good ventriloquist. I was like, huh? That was a major moment. And the went all the way up. I was like, huh? Like, because it was never mind. All right. So now to the podcast. I know that. I was like, dude, you know how many minutes you spent on that? Okay, never mind. The ratings are going up. People are having fun with this damn show. All right. So, and I hardly swear on this thing. But anyway, that's what happened. Okay, so on the podcast, Manifestation. Now, I told you how I manifested the Waikiki show, right? So we did it. Well, we did it on the other season. We're going to do it again. But it was a process of first having, can I see your showroom kind of thing? They let me in to look around, right? And they knew who I was, right? But they let me go look around, and I stood on the stage and I visualized standing there. I visualized singing there. I visualized all this stuff. Now, Esther Hicks, who is you guys probably know who Esther Hicks is. If not, Google. But Esther Hicks says that 15 minutes of visualization, okay, is more valuable, okay, than an hour of hard labor. Okay, and when you really think about it and you really experience it, you don't know it until you experience it. Okay, and I do it, and it's called alpha state for you scientific types. If you guys really want to learn about it, go search it. Go look under alpha state. Okay, it's a brainwave state. There's alpha, there's beta, there's theta. Alpha state is something that you can do for manifestation, that you can pull yourself into rather quickly, okay? And it's a skill, okay? This is a skill set. Now, when you're in alpha state, okay, and I'm not talking about alpha male or beta male, no, I'm talking about brainwave state, okay? The way your brain works. You can pull yourself into alpha. And let me give you an example of alpha that most people can identify with, okay? Daydreaming. There you go. Okay, so you look at something, anything, and you just focus on it and block everything else out. And as you do it, you become better at it, okay? Now, when you do it, you need to focus on what you're trying to manifest. Now, there's a lot of people online saying a lot of different things about manifestation. And some of it kind of upsets me because they're not telling you the whole truth. they're telling you part of the truth. They're saying, well, you don't manifest what you want. You manifest, who you are. And I'm like, no, no, not really. Because I have written affirmations. Now, this is after you condition your subconscious. You have to condition your subconscious. I don't care what. It's a muscle like anything else. It's a skill set for alpha brainwave state. You cannot just sit down and go, okay, we're going to daydream. Here we go. And we go focus on whatever. No, it takes skill. It's an acquired skill set, and you need to practice. Okay. So practice look out your window. I mean, people do this anyway when they're at work, right? They want to escape work. What are they doing? They're looking towards the beach and they're thinking about surfing or swimming or wherever you are. Maybe you're in Colorado right now, like one of my students, Tia, and she's going snowboarding skiing actually. She's going skiing. I think she's skiing today. Yeah, she's skiing today. But I'm just saying, right? Wherever you are, if you're because we have listeners in Saudi Arabia. If you guys are looking out on the desert, the sand, right, or whatever. You guys, we have listeners in Dubai. You guys looking at the buildings right now, okay? Just sit there and look at the buildings. Just look at the scenery and then pull yourself into whatever it is you want to manifest. Now, I want to address the part that you see online where people go, oh, you manifest who you are, okay? Not what you want, right? Okay, here's what they're not telling you. When you do manifest who you are, you really do, okay? But you manifest things as well, okay? If you're on the catch, here's the catch. You have to be on the same frequency, okay? You cannot be in other words, you cannot be angry and attract something that's on a high frequency. Anger is on a very low frequency, okay? And if you're trying to manifest something like like a house, a car, or whatever, you have to be on the right frequency. Now, there's different frequencies. And there's at the bottom of the spectrum, there's anger, there's hate, there's greed, there's guilt, there's shame. On the higher spectrum, the highest is love. And then you got gratitude. And then, it just comes down like that, right? So that's another podcast where, I'll actually print out some stats and read it to you guys. It's to me, it's boring. It's easier if I tell you guys. Okay, but if you're on that high spectrum and if you're loving and being grateful, being helpful and kind to people and generous, those things, then things come easy to you. Things will come easier to you if you're grateful. Things will come easier to you if you're helpful, if you help others. Okay, so here's the thing about God. First of all, God is real. Okay, God is not what people talk about in church. It's especially the 501c3 for profit churches. No. That's not what God is. The writings are made by man, and inspired by God. Okay, but God is inside, so anything you write is inspired by God. Okay, and here's the if you be still and meditate first, and then slowly put your hand on the pad and slowly begin writing what you're thinking about, okay? And pretty soon those thoughts will organize and you will see something amazing happen. You will see, some new things that you didn't think were in there, okay, in you. And you write them down and you keep writing. One day I wrote for like 20 minutes. And when I was done, I was like, whoa, I can't believe that happened. 20 minutes straight, and the information that came out and what I should do and instructional kind of thing was amazing. And I was like, whoa, okay. But anyway, that's one aspect. So yes, you do attract who you are, okay? But who you are can be on a higher vibrational level. Okay, people that are happy. You ever see the happy person? The happy person that has barely any responsibilities and money comes easy to them and opportunities come easy and you're really working hard. You're busting your butt, right? And you go, how the hell does so-and-so, how is this happening? I'm working so hard. I'm hardly getting stuff, right? And look at that guy. He's so happy. He's he's just goofing off and he's getting all the perks, like everything, right? It's just coming to him. Okay, this, Hawaiians, this is because when you're working, push, work hard, you are pushing the vibrations away from you. Okay, think about it. Take a stone, okay, go down to your nearest lake, river, whatever. Okay, you can't do it in the ocean, but you can do it in a still pond. And throw the stone in, just throw it in the pond, in the river, whatever, or not, not the part of the river that's moving, and throw it in. Now, you see the vibrations? Okay, so you see where the stone hits, right, in the middle, and then everything comes out, right, from the stone, the water, okay? Those, look at those as vibrations. Now, when the stone hits the water, what happens? Then the vibrations begin, right? They you know what I'm saying. All right, so it's just a visual I'm trying to give you guys. Now, the stone hitting the water represents work, okay? And every time you work, every time you create forward momentum with your life, I don't care if it's in thought, I don't care if it's in action, I don't care if it's in attitude, but every time you're in that mode, you are pushing forward, okay? Now, people make a lot of progress pushing forward, okay? But here's the thing. If you don't balance, if you don't push forward and then stop, and push forward and then stop, okay? And you have to develop that rhythm within yourself, okay? My rhythm goes for about, I would say like 16 to 18 hours at a time. Maybe less, maybe now, maybe 16. Yeah, probably 16. Before, when I had my office in Kalihi, I have an office at this in downtown now. It's called Pauahi Tower. There's this building in downtown, but I had it in a Kalihi is, for you people that are not familiar, Kalihi is just a small little town on this island of Oahu, where I'm from, and well, I'm not from here. I live here where I'm at. I'm from another island. But anyway, so, but when I used to be in my Kalihi office, right? And I used to be, push, boom, 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 like work, right? And I used to go like 18 hours, okay? And I used to come home and I used to sleep 5 hours. And then I'd get up again and repeat the cycle, okay? And at a certain point, I began noticing that, hey, nothing's happening. Why is this? And so I went to this conference. It was actually a talk by Dr. Amit Goswami, who's the world's leading quantum physicist. And there, most people have seen Dr. Michio Kaku, right? Or Michio Kaku, sorry. And but not too many people have really studied the work of Dr. Amit Goswami. So look him up. Goswami is Goswami. Goswami. And he's amazing. He's an amazing man from India. He's the leading foremost authority, but he's not like Hollywood, right? Dr. Kaku is Hollywood, right? So he loves the interviews. He loves explaining stuff. He loves being out there in the limelight. And Dr. Goswami is just not like that, right? And anyway, so I have a picture of him. He and I, with his fishing hat on. He was very, very humble guy. You wouldn't even know that this guy was the leading quantum physicist in the world, right? And anyway, so he said, you guys in the Western world have it wrong. You guys need to do, and then you need to be. Do and then be. And then so he made a joke. He said, doobie do, right? And he goes, that's your rhythm. Now, that being said, okay, doobie do is different for everyone. Some people will do for 2 hours and they will be for 6 hours or 5 hours or whatever, 4 hours. But you need to find your average, okay? Now, this is how you're going to manifest, all right? You need to find your average. So you go to work for 8 hours, right? Are you pushing for those 8 hours? Are you driving forward for 8 hours? If you are, for whatever company you work for or whatever you're doing, then okay, now establish what your leisure time is. And I don't mean leisure like playing sports or doing stuff like that. That's still moving forward. I mean where you come home and you relax, like leisure time. You come home, you sit on the couch and you watch the game. Okay, now you're at a standstill. Okay, because you're watching the game. Although, yeah, some brain activity is going on. But what Dr. Goswami was referring to is, yeah, you go do something for a while and then be still. Close your eyes. The other day, I was at this place called Ala Moana Shopping Center. And they have this place called the Lanai. And I was with a friend and she was eating, right? I bought her lunch and I didn't want to eat. And I sat down and I meditated, like right there. And I have this mudra that I hold. If you don't know what a mudra is, go look. There's a lot of them. But I have this mudra that I hold. And I just held the mudra and, I just meditated, right? Now, I don't think about, weird words that I can't pronounce and all this stuff. I sit still. Funny thing, Hawaiians, when you sit still, you're going to get answers, okay? You're going to get all kinds of answers. And you can ask questions. So you ask the question in your mind and then you wait for the answer, okay? Now, you will get answers. Try it. Just try it. Some people are just too busy to sit still. They're just, and because busy is a habit. Okay, now a human being becomes everything that they practice, okay? If you practice go, 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 then you're going to be in the habit of go, 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 and you will be, able to just chill. And, okay, let's take a time out. Let's just relax. It's going to be hard to relax. Somebody told me a long time ago, he was the king of entertainment over here in Hawaii. And I hung out with him from when I was 17 to 21 years old. And at one point he told me, he goes, you got to learn how to relax. Because I was just really, I was aggressively learning the business. I was trying to anyway. And he told me, you got to learn how to relax. And that never left my head, right? That always stayed with me. I always remembered that. And I still do, right? So I make it a point, like I did at the shopping center, right in the food court. I just meditated for a little while. See, so sometimes you got to do stuff like that. Because otherwise you're just driving everything away from you. And it could be like right there at arm's length, or maybe 10 feet or 15 or 20 feet, whatever it is. But it could be like right there for you. Your goodness is right there, but no, you keep driving that thing. You keep pushing forward. So now, I want you to envision a boat on a lake, okay? Now, when the boat starts going, right? Because you do need motion. You do need motion, okay? When the boat is going, you have the wake, right? When you have the wake and the boat is going, right? The wake is strong. You can see the wake. It's there. When you stop, okay? Now, nothing is really gonna change as the boat is going. But when the boat stops, what happens? The wake disappears, okay? So sometimes you need that time out so the wake can disappear, okay? Because sometimes you have that wake in the back following you, right? Because you're pushing, okay? And what you want to do is you want to have an opportunity for everything to catch up. Everything, because nothing can catch up to you if there's a wake between you and everything else, right? That distance. So you need to stop sometimes. So yeah, just remember to do that. Take time outs and stuff, and just if you're in your living room, just sit on the couch and close your eyes and be still. It doesn't matter if people are active around you or yelling or making noise or whatever. Just go into your center, okay? Now that's another technique for manifestation that will help you to raise your vibration, okay? Another thing that will help you to raise your vibration is happy music, happy songs, things that make you happy. Okay, now some people listen to some very, I want to say, angry music. I want to say, in some senses evil music, some of it, right? It doesn't appear to be evil, but the vibration is low. Okay, I heard a song the other day. I was playing this song in the car, and I was playing this song, and the bass was constructed in such a way that it was very hypnotic. So you got to know this about music, right? So music affects people's moods really quick. And some of the music nowadays, like, it's really hypnotic, and it puts people in a trance, especially the young people that are on drugs. It keeps them in a trance. Okay. Now, some of these kids do drugs just to keep up. I knew a lot of them. I didn't do it with them or wasn't even really around them. I just knew who they were, and they were in the entertainment industry, right? And you know, it's very, and this is under the category of keeping up with the workload, keeping up with the pace. When we used to do, I had a wedding and party business that we shut down in 2019. We shut it down. And right before COVID, which is actually really lucky, because during COVID, you know, we didn't have any contracts to honor. Everything was done already in 2019. Timing is everything in business. That's not a podcast, Alliance, but we're going to have a podcast about that one day and talk about timing. Timing is everything. You don't want to be stuck with something. You don't want to be stuck in a loser's game. But anyway, so when we used to do shows and stuff, we used to go to ballrooms. And I found out, I didn't know it first, but I found out a lot of the banquet people were doing ice, were doing drugs, okay, just to keep up, to keep working. And they would work 2 or 3 shifts sometimes. I mean, you know, they would just keep going. And I had no knowledge of this until one day, you know, somebody said, hey, you know, and filled me in. And I'm like, really? And they looked just perfectly normal. Nobody was tweaking. Nobody was, you know, that kind of thing. And it's sad. It's sad. But when you live in a place where prices are so high, right, that you have to work 2.5 jobs or whatever it is, yeah, those things come into play sometimes. So anyway, when you manifest and you are in a high vibration, okay, you start attracting things that are at high vibrational levels. So like attracts like. Happy people attract happy people. You know, I always tell people, well, you know, when you see somebody in a grumpy mood, you don't even approach them, right? So, but if they were in a happy mood, if they're in a joyous mood or whatever, that kind of thing, or pleasant or smiling, that kind of thing, then yeah, you might go over and talk to them, right? So, think about all of these things, because when you manifest, you are attracting yourself, or you are, attracting who you are, but you're also allowed to raise your vibration so you can actually be a better version of that self that you're attracting, okay? And you can move it. Because here's something really cool. I thought it was really cool, and so I used to do it for a while. I just on a whim one time, I wrote down, I am so happy and grateful now that I have met a playmate, right? That's all I wrote down. And in my mind, I just envisioned a girl. The girl that showed up did not look like what I was thinking. Like I was thinking, and she was much hotter than I was thinking. I'm not like, unrealistic in my thoughts, right? So I'm like, okay. So I wrote that down. It's a true story. I wrote it down. And I waited for 2 weeks, right? I didn't rewrite it. I just wrote it one time and let it go. That's another thing for manifestation, okay? Just visualize one time, write it down one time, and just put it on the side. And you'll see when you go back and look at it, like a month later, you go, wow, yeah, that happened. Yeah, it happened 3 days ago, it happened 2 weeks ago, it happened 3 weeks ago, right? You're going to see that pattern. And that's what I did when I first started this stuff back in 2006, because I said, hey, I'm going to try this for 2 months. If it ain't working, I'm never, ever going to do this crap again. And then it happened, right? And then I look back and I go, whoa, all this stuff happened. Whoa, like the majority. Anyway, not every single little thing, but the majority. And human beings have this power, okay? Because God is inside. God is in you. God is inside. So it's almost like you have all this power and you have all this capability, right? And other entities are making you feel small, okay? And when I say that, I'm not saying it in the sense that, you know how religion tells you, oh yeah, no, you gotta believe in God. You don't believe in yourself. You believe in God. He is greater than I, kind of thing, right? And that's true. God first. God always first, Hawaiians. God first, then you. Okay? But a lot of people get carried away with the he is greater than I, right? And they start feeling small, and then pastors are guilty of that too. I knew a pastor. He was a reverend, and he used to start his sermons by saying, we are all sinners. Okay, how do you think that made the congregation feel? Right? They were like, oh yeah, and then they start thinking about what they did that was sinful, right? And and he used to say, we are professional sinners, and And I used to look around, and these guys were like hanging their heads, and it was like, and I'm like, oh boy, okay. But anyway, my point is, okay, that you need to take some pride in yourself. You need to believe in yourself. Okay, God first, then you. Okay, this is not church, Hawaiians. I'm just saying. But God is real, and that's why this stuff works. So I wrote the affirmation, right? I am so happy and grateful now that I have a playmate. And I was just bored. I was just bored at that time of the, whenever, right? I was bored. 2 weeks later, I get a phone call, right? And this girl, and I swear, girls used to just come down to my office, to inquire, right? But they knew I was there, right? So they used to inquire. So the hookups was like, okay, well, here's another one. Okay, well, come right in, sweetie. But not just that, but, they would come and they would take lessons, or they would, do life coaching or whatever. Life coaching, I never dated any of my life coaching clients. But, some of the girls, they just kept coming back, and pretty soon I got to know them, and then we had a drink, and then one thing leads to another. But this girl, right, shows up, and I was like, whoa. And she was not from here. She was from one of the countries outside of Russia. There's this, all the stands, Uzbekistan and whatever. All the stands. She was from one of them. One of them, Hawaiians. Those of you, if you guys are listening up in Uzbekistan and in those countries, Kyrgyzstan, right? Okay, I'm not making fun of you guys. I'm just saying, like, there's a whole bunch of stands up there. Okay. Oh man. So but anyway, but she was, gosh, this girl was gorgeous. She was on a scale of 1 to 10, she was a 15. And we ended up being very friendly. Hawaiians. That's like it's a family show, Hawaiians. It's a family show. Just in case one of my students or somebody, catches the podcast, it's family friendly. But yeah, we was friendly. We got friendly. And on another podcast, we're gonna talk about relationships soon. I got like 3 emails, like Unks, and they call me Unks. Unks, can you please talk about relationships? We need some advice, that kind of thing. So men and women cannot be friends, but they can be friendly, okay? They cannot be. So what I'm saying is, like, not like a guy and a guy can be friends, or a girl and a girl can be friends. Male and female cannot be friends like that. Cannot. Impossible, okay? So, and that's another podcast, but I thought I would drop this in so you guys could think about that and observe observe, ladies. We got 38% ladies now, okay? Girls, observe your surroundings, okay? How many of those guys that are hovering, I call them hoverers, how many hoverers do you have that profess to be your friends, right? That if something happened and you let them, they would, okay? Think about it, girls, okay? Love you guys. Thank you for being here. All right, so manifestation. When the first thing you do is you visualize. Second thing is you write it down. The third thing is you speak it, okay? And I mean speak it. Don't go speak it to your neighbors. Don't go speak it to your friends, okay? No. Speak it to yourself, but speak it out loud. You know what? My best place to speak it is in my car. It's just me, and I'm cruising, right? Driving around, doing my errands, whatever. And I am speaking the dream. I spoke this car into existence, right? I mean, it's not like you see in the movies. It's not like you speak something and it just pops up in your garage. It's not like that. If it was like that, I mean, life would be totally different for every single person on the planet. I mean, really. But the way it works is you speak the dream, okay? Speak it first. Start speaking it. Speak it till you believe it. Now, a belief is a thought you keep thinking, okay? You cannot know something and believe it. You cannot. Think about it. Can you actually do that? If you can, I'd like to talk to you because you're different. But yeah, you cannot know something and believe it, okay? You can only believe something you don't know, right? Write that down, Hawaiians. There you go, okay? That's some knowledge for you. All right, so, but speak it. Okay, now it's not going to be true when you first speak it. When I was speaking about my current car, right? Okay, so when I was speaking about it, I didn't have it. I ordered it. I went down and I said, okay. And here's the way the law of attraction works, right? The how is God's job. You don't know how it's going to come. So I went down and the guy says, oh, okay, a really nice guy that helped me. He was a totally cool guy. And he goes, okay, well, what kind of package do you want? And I said, well, I'll take everything. I'll take this package, that one. And in the back of my head, right, I was saying to myself, well, how are you going to pay for this? What the hell is going to happen? What the hell is going to come about that you're going to be able to pull this off, right? But I have faith. Okay, I have unwavering faith in God because the how is God's job. Okay, now Hawaiians, you gotta do this. You have to have the guts to pull this off. Okay, because if you don't, in other words, back in 2006, I told you guys on the other podcast, right? You have to have the guts to drive into the new car place. Then you have to have the guts to say, okay, I'll take everything. Don't haggle. You don't have to haggle. Okay. Well, you can haggle if you want to, well, whatever, get a good deal, whatever. You can say no. I recommend saying no. When somebody proposes something, there's a difference between no and haggling, okay? When you haggle, you kind of go back and forth. Like, well, I like it, but the bumper is chrome, I wanted a fluorescent plastic bumper, that kind of thing. All right. You can just say no. The guy goes, all right, well, it's 40,000. And you can say, no. And just stay there. And just let him do his job. See, so the law of attraction says, right, that, and even the Bible says, like everything says, this is not rocket science or brand new science or a new discovery. This is not. It's in your Bibles. It's in your Quran. It's in your Torah, it's in the Bhagavad Gita, it's in everything, okay? But you just have to go look, right? And now with the digital age, I have a Bhagavad Gita on my phone. I have a Bible on my phone. I have a Torah on my phone. So I can go do research. I can go look, and somebody says something, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go look it up, and I go, oh, wow, and that's how you get educated. Don't just operate on hearsay, right? But anyway. So the way it works is you let the other person do their job. So you can't control somebody else. You can only control you. And if you say no, ball's in the other court. You see, if you say no, then the other person either has to say, all right, well, sorry, I can't help you. Right? Or if he wants to make the sale, let him do his job. He'll adjust it. He'll come back with a proposal. He'll come back with a counteroffer. He'll come back. All you got to do is say no. And that's what I did for the last lease, right? So this was, 3 years ago? 4 years ago. with the last lease. And the guy sent me an email. And I said, that's unacceptable. He sent me a price. He got, that's unacceptable. The rest is on the other podcast. You guys can listen. But then, and then he comes back with a counter offer. And I'm like, whoa, that's a good offer. I can't let that one go. I mean, that's fair. It was fair. Now, I could have been an a-hole. I could have okay, no, that's not good either. That kind of thing. But at that point, I was like, yeah, I can live with that. I can do that. Do it. Just do it. Okay? Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. All right? And that's an old school saying for my 28-year-olds. Okay, you guys, that's an old school. Never mind that one. Okay? Sometimes unks just blurt stuff out, right? But anyway, yeah. So the other person needs to do their job. You cannot control other people. You can only control you. And if you control you appropriately, you can come up with all kinds of stuff, right? I could still be, I don't know, back with the kind of guys that I used to work with. I'm not aware of any of them doing anything else, and that's another thing, right? Like, you don't have to do other things. You can do one thing. There's guys that are doing one thing. They make one amount of money, right? And they're good with that. And maybe, the corporation raises them a little bit a year or whatever it is, a little bit of contract, whatever the details are. But they're happy with that. Some people are like I said earlier in this podcast, right? If somebody really says that, oh, no, this is all I want, that's all. They're either lying to you or they're totally unaware of how they work as a human, right? Because if tomorrow you have control of the world, the next day you want control of the moon. It's just that simple, okay? But people who are not ambitious, right? There are people who are not ambitious, but they're not happy. Okay, they might tell you they're happy. Oh, I'm just happy with this. I'm just happy with this. I was saying that when I had my little $400 Toyota, and I was happy with that Toyota. Why? Because without that Toyota, it was the bus, right? So I was praising God for that $400 Toyota. Okay, but here's the, I don't know if you want to call it a nugget or whatever, but when you're grateful for something, it always multiplies. It always increases. Always, always, always. Because after that, there was a Jeep Cherokee, right? And that one was, I don't know, $6,000. And then after that, there was a Maxima, a Nissan Maxima. And that was like maybe 16, 20 grand. I don't know, something like that. 22, I don't know, something like that. In the 20s, right? And then after that, right, when the Maxima was rebuilding itself, I finally got up the guts, and I had a talk with myself in the car. And I was in motion. I was driving under the underpass, right? And at one point it was like, F it. I made a hard right and I pulled right into the car lot, and the rest, as they say, is history. Until today, always. The only thing I know is I always have new car smell. Okay? Did I get a promotion? No. I worked my ass off. Did I, am I a multi-gazillionaire? No, absolutely not. Not at all. Okay? Will I get there? I don't know. I have no idea. Okay? I have no idea. A true entrepreneur dies in the middle of 5 or 6 projects. Okay? A real when Elon Musk dies, right? The world's richest man, when he dies, he's going to be in the middle of tons of projects. Okay? So it's not about finishing everything. It's not about making all the money. It's not about making the most money. I had a guy I used to work with a guy that he used to brag about how much money he made, And then we found out he wasn't making that much money, as much as he was telling us, And everything was 6 figures. And then I thought about it later on, and I thought, maybe he was trying to manifest that. Maybe he was speaking the dream, right? And in the beginning, though, we thought it was on the up and up. And then, somebody that I knew and a girl that I knew talk to the office manager, right? And she just opened up. And they, so you gotta watch them office managers. Sometimes they open up and they tell all your secrets. But and then after that, I was like, oh. I was like, wow, I fell for that. You know what I mean? Right? So I was being gaslit or whatever. Gaslighting is not that. It's there's a difference between BS and gaslighting. BS is just BS. Gaslighting is when people play with your reality and tell you like stuff like, you didn't see what you saw. I mean, stuff like that. You didn't see that. That's gaslighting. Anyway, but yeah, so maybe that was his manifestation purpose. I don't even know if he ever got to 6 figures, right? I have no idea, and it's none of my business, right? But I'm just saying that when you hear these things from people, sometimes, right? Sometimes they're speaking the dream. And that's why I said you don't have to speak it to your friends. You don't have to speak it to your neighbors. Okay? Don't do that because you're going to make people feel bad because they don't understand. Speak it in your car to yourself. I do it all the time. I have pep talks with myself in the car because, sometimes I need to, and sometimes I need to set myself straight. And when you do that and you have that kind of self-discipline, you can make anything happen, okay? You have to have self-discipline. I can't stress that enough. And it works in manifestation because then you have laser focus, okay? First, you establish focus, okay? And this is the vision, okay? First, you establish focus. Second, you get to the point where you can laser focus, okay? And that means alpha state. That means blocking everything else out and focusing only on that one thing. And you only need to do it for 16 seconds at a time. Okay, now what I do is I do 16 seconds and later on in the day, 16 more, right? Later on in the day, 16 more. So I do it like, maybe 3 or 4 times, right? And then I don't do it at all. I let it go. I put it out into the universe, as they say. It's actually inside you, but yeah, people say in the universe, whatever. And I let it go, okay? And then, it happens. I wrote that affirmation for that chick. She showed up. I didn't know it was that chick. It was Playmate. I left it open, right? I was referring to a girl. I was referring to a woman, right? And I wrote the thing, boom. Like, so when people tell you that you can't manifest certain things or certain items that's no. But you have to be on the frequency, okay? Now, first there's focus, then there's laser focus, then there's hyper focus, okay? Once you've established alpha state to the point where you can just switch it on and off. I can switch it. It takes me about 15 seconds or 20 seconds to switch it on, okay? But this is from practice, right? From years of practice, okay? But you can do it, okay? And you can pull yourself into alpha. What is hyperfocus mode? Hyperfocus is a little bit different. You can sit down on your computer. Now, office girls do this all the time. And they plow through a stack of papers, right? That's hyperfocus. All right. So if you need to, learn these things or these techniques or whatever, I'd be happy to help you. All you got to do is go to the website, okay? It's www.hereforyou.live. Okay, that's our website. And just shoot me an email. That's all you got to do. But yeah, manifestation, there's a deliberate process to it, right? And it works with precision when you follow the steps, okay? Number 1, visualize. Have an idea, specifically what you want. Okay, when I wrote the affirmation for the chick, I knew exactly what I wanted, right? And I knew it was a girl. I knew it was, playing, right? I knew all this stuff, right? I knew exactly what I wanted. And I wrote it down. Okay, so I had the visualization first, then I wrote it down, and then I spoke it. And pretty soon, I don't know, the doorbell to my office rang, and the rest, as they say, is history. It's history. But you can do this. It's not limited to like material things. You can write for a girl. You can write for whatever, a situation. You can write for like anything. And I've written and I have been successful for so many things, Hawaiians. I can't even tell you. But I mean, and boy, I tell you, when that chick walked in, bro, she was like, oh, sorry, I gotta go. But yeah, I'll never forget that. That was, oh man, and on the relationship podcast, that when I talk about relationships and stuff, I always say you gotta let the girls come and go. They come, right? They play, they go. You gotta let them go, because then that makes room for the other ones to come. Anyway, all right. Hey, we're gonna thank our sponsors, Island Club and Spa. I can't even talking about Brother Randy's sister Jerry. I cannot whip it out like I did in the old days, where you could just blaze through a 30-second copy. Oh man! Hey, we also want to thank AFM Hawaii Music, Darren Chinin, and his show. And you can hire him at afmhawaiimusic.com. Yeah. Also, Voice Masters, family of service companies providing service since 1989. And there we go. Till next time, I'm Junior saying mahalo and aloha.